Today, we're going to be looking at the Grill Boss Outdoor Portable Stove by Chef Master. This particular stove is a 12,000 BTU, and it can also be run off of butane or propane. I just had it delivered to me. I haven't had a chance to open it yet, so we're going to open this thing up and have a look at it. Inside of the outer box that it came with, there are these different stoves that they offer, a couple of accessories, and important lighting instructions for the Chef Master stoves. Inside the stove, there was also instructions to light the stove. This paper that lets you know that the propane hose is located inside of the stove so you don't turn it on and melt that. And an instruction manual. And the propane hose itself, which was located underneath this cover. The stove did come with a protective plastic case, although I would say I'm not sure how much protection this particular case offers. The plastic is extremely thin. I mean, it's like paper thin. You can actually see through it if you hold it up to the light. I can see my hand on the back of it. And for the price that this stove was, I kind of expected a little bit better quality on the case. And look, this review is not about the case, but the case is part of the package. And because this case is really going to offer minimal protection. There are some hard cases that are made out of more durable and thicker material. Some of them even have a place to put your stove in the bottom. And on the top, there will be areas to attach your butane canisters. So I'm either going to look into one of those or possibly one of the soft cases where you would still use this case and it would go inside of the soft case for further protection. And they also have places to put your propane or butane canisters. When it comes to these type of stoves, there's really not a whole lot to see. And as far as I can tell, they're all pretty much very close to the same in terms of what they do in construction. They're basically all going to consist of a burner and a place to put your canister of butane. So after looking at a lot of different models and brands of butane stoves, let me tell you the reason that I decided to get the Grill Boss. One of the reasons is because this is an America's Test Kitchen top pick for butane stoves. The second reason is because I have some friends that own this same exact stove. And the third reason is because I've seen other people on YouTube who use this stove in some of their cooking videos. And if you watch my channel for any amount of time, you know that I enjoy cooking and cooking gadgets and things like that. And the final reason is because it gives me the ability to cook here in this area where I typically film most of my videos. Trying to film videos at the stove is really just not practical. I do have an electric hot plate and I have an induction burner, but I think that the butane stove is going to serve me a little bit better. I mentioned earlier about the price of the Grill Boss. It's definitely higher than a lot of the other brands that I saw. I purchased it directly from the manufacturer's website because not only was it cheaper to buy it from there than on Amazon, but they also had free shipping and a first-time buyer 10% discount code. So all in, I spent just under $51. One of the things that I do like about this particular stove is you can remove this burner cover for easy cleaning. And I know for a fact that a lot of the other stoves don't have that option. I also like the fact that I can use propane with it. One thing I wanted to mention if you do buy this stove is these propane hoses are very prone to failure. And apparently the reason they're prone to failure is not so much a defect in the hose, but if you use the stove with propane and you leave the propane canister hooked up to the hose, eventually the pressure from inside the propane canister will cause I guess a leakage or something, and it looks like that's the reason that they're prone to failure. So if you do want to use propane, you hook it up to the stove, do your cooking, and then disconnect it, and I believe that will solve the problem. This model is the 90057, and it is 12,000 BTUs. I tried really hard to decide whether I wanted a 10,000, 12,000, or 15,000. So I ultimately decided that I believe 12,000 BTUs is going to be high enough for probably anything that I want to do. There is one thing in particular that I do want to use this stove for, and that is using my original hand-hammered wok from China. You may remember from the 80s, there were a lot of these infomercials about these woks. Well, I still have one, and I use it pretty regularly. Unfortunately, I've been stuck with trying to use it on an electric stove, and while it works, it does not work as well as it should. So I wanted to check and see if my burner ring would sit on there, and it actually sits on there perfect. Let me pull this out a little bit. Oh yeah, I think I'm going to like this. So anyway, that was definitely one of the reasons that I wanted one of these butane stoves also. As I said earlier, I will probably always use butane with it, but if I do want to use propane, I can run the hose through the back of the stove and it connects right here. I don't think there's a whole lot more that I can show you on it, so I'm going to get some butane, we'll hook it up and fire the stove up. Before I put the butane canister in, I wanted to mention something, and a lot of you probably already know this, but in case you didn't, most of the butane canisters now are made to be explosion proof. Now, I wouldn't 100% rely on that and go and put, you know, a 20-inch pot or something on top of here, but they are designed to be explosion proof, at least most of them. Now, looking at this Coleman butane fuel, I don't see anywhere where it says that it's explosion proof, but I do know that the explosion proof canisters do have a blue ring, which this one does. I did pick up a 4-pack of these, which are Cookstone brand, from an Asian grocery store. And these even say it right here, explosion proof rim vent. So just something to be aware of. And given a choice between explosion proof or not explosion proof, I would always take the explosion proof canisters, although I still would be very careful with the stove. To light the stove, I'll open the cover, take the top off of the canister, align this notch with this little clip right here. Close the cover and push the locking mechanism down. And that's it. So I'm going to turn the dial all the way till I hear it click. And it fires right up. We'll turn it down some. One of the problems that many of these butane stoves have is it's really hard to turn them down so low that they simmer without going out. Now, I've got this flame down pretty low and it seems to be doing just fine. I know it's probably not coming across on camera very well, but it looks like this one may not suffer from that issue. Now that I've got it up and ready to go, I definitely want to cook something on it. So I'll do a quick cooking of a couple of eggs. I'll put my stainless skillet on there, put a little butter in. Need to lower the flame just a little bit. Recently I made a video showing the Dash ceramic griddle, and I had a comment from that video saying that my eggs were burnt. I'm not really sure what they're talking about. I mean, the eggs were definitely not burnt. Maybe if they had a little more brown on them than that person would like, I could understand. But I don't think I burned my eggs. I do want them cooked a certain amount, but I guess it's one of those things where everybody wants something different. And the way I cook my eggs may not be to the liking of everyone, but let me know if you think my eggs are burnt when I'm done with these. Of course, they could get burnt, being that this is the first time I'm using the stove and I'm not really familiar with it, but I'm going to try not to burn them. Okay, I like my eggs over medium, so I think that's going to do it for these. Next, I will turn the stove off. While this video is definitely not about eggs, let me know if you consider these eggs burnt, because I certainly don't. So there's a look at the Grill Boss dual fuel 12,000 BTU camp stove. So that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.